Hey y'all, it's your host Kennedy Lauren. This is Therapy Fridays, the podcast, a space for you to unpack, unwind, and feel safe as you grow. So today we have one of my close friends, Morgan Miles, on the show today, and we're going to get into some stuff. You guys to get to know her, and then we're going to get into the conversation. Morgan enjoys any and every outlet to storytelling, from interviewing, blogging, and event conversations curation with Pretty Standard, all the way to writing actual romance fictions. In her 9-to-5 life, she currently works in advertising, where she can lock into telling other stories through brand strategy and freelances on the side, with the focus of marketing small Black women-owned businesses. So, I just really want to, I'm not going to say what the topic is today because it's not a specific topic.
We're getting into everything.
Yeah, we're going to get into everything. So, before I even get into everything, I just want you to tell a little bit about your brand, how you got started, and like why you got started. Then we're going to jump into some stuff.
Yeah, so marketing itself, like advertising marketing part, that's not really, that's like what I said, it's what makes the money to do what I want to do.
Right,
I like marketing and advertising. It's cool. It's a good day-to-day, but I'm not really super, like long-term. That's not where I want to stay.
Okay.
For Pretty Standard.
What is Pretty Standard?
So it started off as a blog. I was just sitting in my room in college. I just wanted to write about, I think I was going through like my first dating experience for real. And I said, I gotta get this out. You know, I'm tired of talking to my two friends about the same thing over and over. So I'm like,
they tired.
Why not? So I told them about that. I let them, I started to write that. Then I got out of college. I was like, okay, I kind of want to take this more serious. I want to do something where like I can get people together, where we can talk, have conversations. Because I noticed that people were having very similar experiences to me. So I'm like, okay. Started doing Tuesday questions. Then it grew into like, well, we should talk about it. Then I'm like, okay, let's get on live. So then we got on live. And then jump from that to having women get together and have events. And that's what Pretty Standard is. Just like women being able to have these conversations, have these awkward conversations that you might not have with anybody else but your friends.
Right.
But then also learning how to set the standard from that. Like, okay, now that we have the conversation, how do we grow? How do we get better?
No, I think you do like a really, like I've told you a million times at this point, but I think you do like a really good job of one, being consistent, because I feel like obviously everybody has like a purpose, a passion, but I think you do a really good job of like, from what it looks like to me at least, like staying connected to that. Like I always see you being being consistent. You know, like obviously you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, or like what certain things are taking from you, like for that day or for that week. But it's like I always see you showing up, which makes me want to ask. I know your 5 years just came up, anniversary just come up for Pretty Standards, and I saw your caption.
That long cap.
I did already.
I had you.
One thing about it, if it starts off good, I'd be like, ooh, let me just.
Period. I had you sucked in.
You did. So I kind of want to talk about like more like I saw. So you don't have to read the exact caption or anything like that, but I kind of want to like pick apart like how did you feel coming up with your 5-year anniversary? Because for me it was like, obviously, I was very proud of you. You just had an event that past weekend. And I know I was giving you all these praises, so I know your other friends were giving you praises. So, like, to see your caption, obviously, it's normal for us to not feel like we are where we want to be. But, like, seeing your caption, I was like, oh, I didn't know that you had those experiences or, like, felt that way. So just, if you want to talk about, like, how you felt for that 5-year anniversary of Pretty Standard.
At first, I felt bad. That was my initial feeling, because me feeling bad, I felt bad the fact that I was having people be like, oh, like, congrats on the event, you about to have your event, I'm so happy for you, I'm so proud of you. And then I'm like, I don't feel this myself. Like, I don't feel happy or proud. Right. So I'm like, I feel bad because I'm listening to people tell me like, you're doing good things, you're really trying, and it's like, why am I not feeling this same
for myself? Like,
I'm coming up on 5 years, and I knew I was coming up on 5 years. That was the time where I should have been like, I'm gonna do a photo shoot, I'm gonna make a post. I literally was just thinking about the 5 years and like, I'm just gonna let this day pass. Like, nobody's gonna know about it. Right. Let me not even post about it. Let me not say nothing. I don't know. I was just so sad about it. So I was like, okay. The event day actually just happened to be the day before the 5 years. I didn't know that was that until I looked back on my phone and I'm like, wait, like this ain't I'm at 5 years. Hold on. Like, so once I was thinking about that and I was like, okay, I kind of feel bad the fact that people are telling me congrats and I don't feel a congratulations is necessary or needed. I had to sit and think about the fact of like, why did I start pretty standard? And then also, what is getting me to the point to feel that what I'm doing is not enough? Like,
right. I was gonna say, like, well, you can keep going, of course, too, but you always, of course, feel free to interject. But I was gonna say, like, why do, because I feel that, like, often. Like, why do we always feel like what we do is, like, not enough? Or, like, people can give us praises, people can give us our flowers, but it's just, like, sometimes it's like we don't internalize that like all the way.
Yeah.
Like where does that come from? And I think that for me personally, like I'm just trying to figure out, or not even figure out, but I'm just realizing like feelings really aren't facts.
Yeah.
Like feelings are not facts. And I feel like sometimes our feelings are like inaccurate facts, you know what I mean, about ourselves or like what we really think, you know?
That's true. And I think not letting feelings build up, like consistency, like you were saying, I do think that that's something that I had to learn is not all you need. Like I was being consistent, but I'm just doing stuff. Like I'm just doing I'm just doing the lives. I'm just doing the events. I'm just doing these things and checking them off the list. I'm like, okay, well, I'm having an event, gotta have all this stuff done. Okay, I'm doing a live, gotta find my guests. I'm not congratulating myself in those smaller moments. I'm not noticing what I'm doing in those smaller moments.
Because you have to acknowledge the growth
in order to keep
like, going too, though.
I'm feeling like, okay, like I'm just finding the place for the event. Okay, I'm just finding the person for the live. I'm not feeling anything as this time is going. So then 5 years hits and it's like, whoa, like everything is just hitting me at one time because I'm like, I didn't even consider this. You know, I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing as I was doing it. So I get to 5 years and I'm like, what have I even done? Like, what have I even been doing? Because I'm not keeping up, you know?
You've done so much, though. Like, I think that sometimes, well, like, this is just for me, so this is just what I'm thinking.
I probably could the same. Look.
I think that sometimes, like, in the moment, it's just, like, you're just so busy, like, doing stuff, and that you don't even realize that, okay, like, I am making progress. Like, like, you are making movements. And, like, maybe the results aren't where you want it to be yet, or like you don't even know what the results are supposed to be, but it's like you're making movements. And like I think it is important to, like, as you're making movements, to acknowledge the growth, acknowledge that you are making movements, because if you don't acknowledge that, then it's like, you're just gonna look up and it's like, I'm just doing stuff, and it's gonna feel like you're just doing stuff, when it's like, no, I'm making good strides. Like, you're being consistent with your lives. You're making engaging posts. Like, people love to see that you're, you know, making conversation on Tuesdays. People look forward to you being on live. And like even your events, like you had a great turnout for your last event, and that wasn't even your first event, that's your second event, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I appreciate that,
girl. And
I think too, social media, or like people in general, make it that social media
too,
is what you go off of, but I don't always even think that's the case, because I wasn't comparing myself of like, oh, like this other like event curator is doing better than me, or oh, like I didn't even have anybody in mind. It was literally me mad at me sad at me. Like, it wasn't,
that'd be me.
Oh my gosh, like I feel like I don't have as many followers as this person. It's just like I don't feel like the work I put in is reflected in what I'm putting out. Like, that was just a personal me thing. It wasn't like oh, I feel like I don't have the followers, oh, I don't feel like I have the likes. It was really just like I just don't feel like I'm working hard enough. I don't know. And it's
But what does that look? But what does that like look like to you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, far as like hard work, you know what I mean? Because like I said, like from what I see, from what I know, it is hard work. So like for you, what would hard work actually like look like? Or like what would you like to see more of from, not from yourself, I guess, in the sense of that'll make you feel like, oh yeah, you know what, I am doing this,
doing what I want. What would be the sign of hard work? I really would say, I think that overwhelming feeling at 5 years, the feeling of all of what I was just talking about, really came from playing small and like feeling, never making pretty standard like something I was necessarily proud of or wanted to talk about or just felt that I could share. Like,
that's interesting.
I would play small with like, oh yeah, how's Pretty Standard? I'm like, oh, it's cool, you know, I'm just doing it for fun. Like, you know, we just having an event, we just whatever. Like, I think for me, growth would be seeing Pretty Standard as being confident and saying that I see Pretty Standard as long term. I see that as my end goal. I see that as where I want to be in 10 years. I want to be just working on Pretty Standard. I feel like that would be when I feel good about where I'm at, when I'm confident on speaking on it.
Dude, and I can respect that, because I feel like sometimes too, like it's funny now, it's funny. Like even with the podcast, like in my head I know I wanted to go, and like I don't think depending on the day. I'm gonna keep it honest, depending on the day. I think sometimes it's like you play it small, or like for me, I'm the type of person where like if I'll be honest, like sometimes like I'm so afraid of like my greatness sometimes, where it just makes me stagnant. Yeah. Where it just be like, I'm not even afraid of like failing, in the sense of like I don't even think that the podcast is not going to get where I want it to go. Like I don't believe that I'm just going to do this and I'm not going to get anywhere. Like I don't believe that. Like I know that I'm going to take this somewhere like farther than I even could think. But I will say that sometimes for me personally, that like I'm so afraid of like getting great at something, or like achieving something and then losing it all. Like I feel losing it all. Or like achieving something and it's like I didn't do it. I didn't maintain it the way I was supposed to, or I didn't steward it the right way, and now it's like, yeah, it all crumbled. This empire has crumbled. I think that for me, that's more that, and I think that you had said something that made me think, like, do we play small to kind of protect ourselves from like disappointment? Yeah. Or like, you know, like where, like why, like, cause why are we doing that? We don't need to play small when no one else is playing small around us. You know what I mean?
Like my coworker and I randomly, like we had to do this like group activity for work to, you know, get closer, whatever they try to do. And like he was like, it seems like you try to like, I forgot what the term was. It seems like you try to like basically level set with how people feel about you or feel about the world around you, so that you can know how you're supposed to show up in a space, versus you just showing up in a space with what you already know and then just kind of going from there. And I was like, that's actually very true, because I feel like my Tuesday questions even are stemming from I'm thinking about the world around me and how other people are acting, and I'm like, okay, well, how should I act, like based on what I'm learning, based on what I'm seeing,
from what you know,
right? Versus I'm just gonna show up in this space and then it's gonna be adjusted however it's gonna be adjusted. I mean, I'm a fit or I'm not. Like, being that confident in it is a work in progress.
I think it's so important as women in general, but obviously specifically Black women, because I'm Black. We're Black women. Period. Just being honest, I think it's obviously important for us to show up as ourselves, but I think even now it's even more important for us to like show up as ourselves and like just be bold in who we are. You know what I mean? Like, show up as you. And I've been telling myself this, like, as far as like my communication, but it's just like, show up as yourself. And like, if you have to adjust far as like, okay, maybe I did say something real, you know what I mean? Or maybe I didn't communicate something well. I feel like you can always adjust from your real self, you know what I mean? But you can't really adjust from a facade, because it's just going to keep being a facade, you know what I mean?
Right, you're going to keep readjusting. You're going to keep readjusting. And it's like, you can never make everybody happy. So it's going to always be like, if I'm trying to level set a room of 10 people, all these 10 people are going to have different ideas of how I should be. I'm never going to be able to align with 10 different people. So it's easier just to like, they align with me. I come in, I say what I am. You know? It's like, we align or we don't. Like,
and it's that simple.
Keep it moving.
Yeah, but it's funny that you say that, because as far as like, I think we are kind of maybe be little opposites as far as that perspective. Well, when you said it in that way as far as your coworker, because I think for me, I've realized that like people have a certain perception of me, and then sometimes it's like when people have a certain perception of me, it's like that's not even like my truth. Yeah. But then sometimes it's like the perception could be a good perception, but it's like now I feel like I have to fit into that role.
Where
know what I
they
mean?
got the perception from? Like, just from one encounter, from like social?
Honestly, I blame this a little bit on myself, maybe. I think social media.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I don't think that people who really like know me would put me in a box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people who know me know that I'm just this. I don't want to say wild card, but you know what I mean. Like they just know that I'm just me. Like, you know what I mean. Like, I have a big personality. Like, you can't really just put me. You just can't put me in a box.
Right.
And I think that certain people have this like idea of me or this perception of me. Even like I think I was telling you a little bit. I guess I'm switching gears a little bit, but I remember you had invited me on your live. I love this story. You had invited me on your live, like, dang, it's probably 2 years ago now.
It was a minute.
This was probably 2 years ago. You invited me on your live, and you wanted me to talk about financial literacy. Because, for those who don't know, but you probably do know if you're here right now.
You know me.
You might know. I was doing network marketing, and, I mean, I had a bag. It was what it was. But at that time, like, people were just calling me the rich friend, you know, just was like basically just making it seem like I was just Big Money Ken, basically.
Period, Big Money Ken.
You know, and at one point that was the truth, but it was crazy because like when you had invited me on at that exact time, I wasn't that. Like, I was going through like financial issues at that time, and it was like, well, dang, I don't want to like let you down or like your guests down, because I'm like, people see me as this, so now I have to really act like I know what I'm talking about right now, or speak with confidence right now, even though like I'm having problems with trying to figure out how am I about to get this rent paid. You know what I mean? This rent and this car note, baby.
Double whammy.
Double whammy. And it was just crazy because it was just like, they have this perception of me.
Yeah.
I don't want to let them down. I don't want them to like see the real me in this instant.
Right.
Honestly, like, I just didn't. And then it just made me realize that, like, I have walked around, still am, you know. Maybe one day we can come back and we could talk from a place of
looking back,
improvement. Exactly. And acknowledge some growth. But, like, I still, to this day, sometimes, like, walk in different environments, and, like, some environments just aren't safe, and I'm not being, like, 100% myself because it just doesn't feel safe. I've even had an instance not too long ago, like the first half of this year, I didn't have a job. I literally got a job the 6th month into the year. Thank you. And I remember telling a person, I'm not going.
That ain't nice.
We can do that. I remember just telling somebody, like, you know, the job that I had and like all this stuff, and I was super excited because I had just. It took me a lot, first of all, one, to like apply to a job that wasn't like a corporate job. You know, I was a property manager, so I liked that I seemed like a corporate baddie, or like, you know, like I had a big girl job, and I'm like, you know what, Kennedy, I know this is a pride thing, this is an ego thing. You want to feel like you got this. It is easy to fall into, and I'm like, at this moment, look, it's just not working out. So I just applied to this job, and I was excited because it was a part-time. Exactly, going where the money at. But it was a part-time job, great benefits, very flexible with my school schedule. I'm in school full-time, so I'm like, I was excited because I'm like, the job is commission and I'm hourly. I'm like, why not? And I remember someone saying like, oh yeah, we gotta hurry and get you out of that job. And I remember being like, well, damn. You know what I mean? I'm like, it took me a lot to be confident about like where I am. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
what if you were to live your truth? Like this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing.
And this is what it is. And just I feel like for someone to like, they didn't take it from me
and not even notice that they probably did that.
Right. And I don't
think like, no, you're bigger than that. But it's like this is where I'm at though. So.
Exactly. And I think that for me, like, I'm like learning that I have to like really recognize like where I am and like just praise myself. Like I have to smother myself with the truth, because the lies that be coming in my head sometimes are just so aggressive, so loud, that I have to be just as aggressive with the truth. That's why right now I'm like super like into, I have to smother myself with the truth, because the facts or like my feelings are just inaccurate like depictions of what's really going on, you know what I mean? So I feel like it just took a lot out of me, basically, for me, and it just made me realize, okay, it made me think about the situation with you, and then it also made me think about the situation that happened recently, like, wow, like I am not myself in every single space, which is like, I don't know, like I feel like the same with you. Like I do want to get to a place where like people's perception of me like don't matter. Yeah. Or because like to an extent it doesn't matter. Like people tell me they're proud of me, and like, you know, like even the praises that you give me, but it'd be like sometimes I'd be like,
I hear you, but it's going in one ear, so it keeps flowing out the other. I don't know, y'all, like
flowing out.
It be feeling, yeah. And do you think, because I'm having a hard time figuring out like the fake it till you make it point. Sometimes I feel like the fake it till you make it is important, because sometimes you're not gonna feel as confident as what you have to show up as. But then there's also a level of sometimes you believe what you're faking. Like it's a tough middle ground. It's a tough middle ground to find.
I do think it's a tough middle ground. I don't, in this exact moment I have a
imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Like I have that. I feel like, I don't know, because I don't really like the fake it till you make it, to be honest. I don't think I like that, being honest.
Come on, that's outdated. Period.
I mean,
yeah.
More so just because it's like you faking it till you make it, but it's like when you make it, you're still not gonna believe if you just, you know what I mean? You're still not, when you make it, you're still not gonna believe that.
And I think like most times the fake it part is just you not being confident, like the imposter syndrome. Because it's like, I always think about it like when I apply to a job that I'm like, I have these qualities that they talking about they need, I don't got that, but I'm gonna apply because I'm gonna fake it till I make it. But it's not even that, because you're confident you can learn it. You're confident that you can be able to get in this space. So it's like, not faking it. I just gotta believe a little harder. Believe a little more.
Believe a little more. And I think that's what it is, because I feel like when you say, like, yeah, because it's like fake it till you make it, are you really gonna even believe that you're there, that you deserve to be there?
Exactly.
Are you even gonna believe that, hey, like, I really did this, you know what I mean? So I feel like instead of like faking it till you make it, I feel like we should just take steps, obviously, in the direction of whatever direction, but just like try to have confidence. Or like, I've been doing this thing where I'm just talking to myself. I don't care how small it is. Literally before to prepare for the podcast today, I literally cleaned up the house yesterday, and as small as that may seem, I had to tell myself, I'm proud of you, you're prepared, you're disciplined, you're on top of your stuff, because it's like you have to you literally have to feed and like smother yourself. Like I keep saying that, but like just because my therapist told me that, so it's like sticking in my brain. But it's like you gotta talk to yourself while you're doing the little things.
Really
like you really you absolutely have to. Or like when you're doing these things, it's like you're just gonna be going through the motions, not even realizing that you're making movement.
Like I was saying, like with Pretty Standard, it really was like I'm just doing these things, but not really having, and goals set, like really having
you have
where you want to be from 2024 to 2025. Like what does that look like? What is the goals you want to have? Like micro goals, long-term goals, and then also like what's important to you? Because even as you were speaking, like, is money something that you think would be like in your top 3 values? Because even when you were saying of like, we need to get you out that job, or I thought I was Big Money Kim, like, is that something that motivates you?
I'm never gonna act like money don't matter to me.
Period. I mean,
we don't act like that.
We need it.
Like I feel like I'm not the type of person that's like a minimalist person. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm not the type of person like, oh, I don't need to have all that money.
Like a nice thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna act like that. I wouldn't.
And it's not a bad thing if it is. Like people make it seem like money, it's like valuing money is like, but you gotta be honest. If you like nice things, then you like money to buy nice things. Like,
I do value money, because I feel like I value time, I value convenience, you know what I mean? I feel like money buys those things, you know what I mean?
Very valid.
And I'll get my hair done and go on vacation. So I mean, you need money for those things, but I don't think that that's like a motivating factor for me, just because I've been in enough high and low spots to know that like it can be fleeting.
Yeah.
Or also too, so something that you said, like I know if my intentions are pure in what I'm doing, and if I'm doing what God says that I'm supposed to be doing, and again my intentions are pure, like I'm not doing things with the thought of, oh, let me be better than this person, or you know, like I'm not having that kind of mindset. I feel like the money's gonna come. Like I feel like the resources are gonna come. Whatever I need is gonna be there. Like eventually. So I feel like I don't really wouldn't say it's like a motivating factor, just because realistically for me, I could just be feeling lazy one day and just think about money is just realistically for me, it's just not gonna be enough for me to be like
to get
my ass up. I'm being honest, it ain't gonna be enough.
No, I feel it.
It's just not.
It's never be enough. Because I always think about too, which maybe I shouldn't, of like when somebody's like, oh, you know Morgan, like what's the describing factor of like she do da 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 da, or like she's da 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 da.
I be like, well, you
were
that girl.
Tell me.
She that girl. She consistent. She got her brain, and we finna do another event. What's up?
When I think about how people like, oh, like that's Morgan, she blank blank blank. I want to be able to define that for people. Like I want to do something so specific, so niche that it's like, but you could connect that to me.
But I think that you do.
I'm getting there.
I think that people, for me, just knowing your friends, I feel like we all got together. I feel like we would pretty much like we can come to the common ground of saying like pretty much the same things. You know what I mean? Like we will have the same we'll have great things to say about it. You know what I mean? I feel like we will all have that, and I feel like you've done great things. You've done 2 events. Like I don't know why you don't
talk about this.
Like why that hasn't like you haven't internalized that. Like you know what I mean? Like
I think the second event, like I was telling you outside, like not having like I have a group of people that I grew up in high school with, and I feel like they became my like safety net of like, oh well, I know blank gonna be here, so like we'll be fine. But them not coming this event, I do think was a confidence boost of like, okay, I can do this thing without having to depend on my friends so much, not having to depend on like the people that I know are gonna show up all the time. They did show up in different ways, so they helped out with all the planning and stuff, but not having them in the room was like, they gotta come next time. This not a disclaimer, but it was nice like having this time where it was like new faces, new people, and I'm still
and you
just
still
like,
were able to show up
and have like, okay, this is not just me to my friends, or like this is not just me to the people that I love, but this is me to people that I'm growing to love. So it was nice.
But I think also too, like stopping to acknowledge that growth, that okay, I was confident in this room with people who I don't know, you know what I mean? People who I am learning, people who I'm just meeting, like acknowledging that growth. So one, obviously, so you can continue to grow, but also it's important to internalize those things,
right?
Because like that is a big deal. You know what I mean? Like you're in a room full of people that you don't know, and you're still able to like have a successful event. You're still able to put out the things that you wanted to put out. You know what I mean? Like that's worth acknowledging, taking the time to stop,
and acknowledging. My journal's sad, tired of having the sad stuff. It said, when you gonna put something good, happy?
Put something good in there, really.
And that's what I've been trying to do. Like 2024, moving on from that event, I was like, let me start putting happy stuff in this journal, not just the sad moments.
So yes, because I think even for me too, like me just starting to like document like the good things in my life, because obviously when stuff is going bad or you're sad or you're just like in emotions and your feelings are just overwhelming you, I do think obviously that's like one of the biggest times where we do stop to journal. But I also think that taking the time to like write down how you are grateful, you know what I mean, and just write down like, hey, this is a highlight, this is a high time in my life right now. We're gonna have to document this, so in case we do
it's always gonna be something to nitpick. Like it's always, especially if it's you, like it's like you take a photo, you always gonna see like this hair out of place, my lash coming off, like it's gonna be something. So it's always nice to have like let me stop, this is a nice photo overall, and just keep moving. Like not think too hard on it, not be so tough on yourself, because it is like you did your best. That's what I mean. Like in every other area I can do that. Like I did my best, I tried.
Like I'm just now learning to say like, this is my best. It might not be the best, but baby, this is my best, and that's only, that's how I can show up. You know what I mean? Like I can only give you what I got.
No, for real.
I can only give you what I got, and I'm not gonna overextend myself or like even just stress myself out to like be perfect. Because
Yeah.
like I feel like even like now, like even with the start of the podcast, like even some days still being honest, like I be wanting stuff to be like perfect to an extent, and it's like realistically, that's not realistic for me right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
It's never gonna be like perfect is never the goal. It's
Perfect
never gonna
can't-
be
'cause
able
it-
to be
'cause
met.
it can't be,
you know?
exactly.
Perfect for
It's-
you.
it's-
Like what's gonna be that you gonna be happy with it.
right, like what
That's
are you going to be
perfect.
content with? Because it's like yeah, like I can't reach perfection.
Yeah.
Like we can't reach that as humans. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's like
true.
just me, like for me personally, just doing the best that I can, or just being okay with the fact that I'm making movement.
Yeah.
Like in general, you know what I mean? Like being more so in love with the movement and like not so much the results.
And you think there's consistency in the different endeavors you've shown publicly? Because when I think about it, like when I think about you, I always think about just the public speaking notion of it. Like whether that was through like the marketing you were doing before, whether that's like now with the podcast, it just seems like public speaking has been a streamline through all of that. Is that where the passion is? Like if it wasn't a podcast, it would just be something around wanting to speak to an audience.
Crazy enough, actually. I'm glad you brought this point up. Because no. Well, I'll say no in the sense of I really don't like public speaking. I just feel
No?
like it's not
I would
okay.
never had thought that.
Like I would have never guessed. No, so a lot of people think that about me. But it's like for me, like, and a lot of people don't think this either. Whatever. I feel like I'm shy. You know what I mean? Like,
Ken,
no, I'm so serious.
don't get on here and play. We just talked about showing up yourself in these rooms.
And I be shy. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like for me, like, I would like, I mean, just realistically or just being honest, I would rather not. Like, if I could just tell my stories through writing, like, I would do a blog. Like, I would do that. Like, write a book. Like, writing a book is something I do aspire to do. Like, I aspire to
I
do.
love it.
I'm gonna do it eventually. But, like, I feel
About
like,
yourself?
huh?
About yourself?
Yeah, just writing like about
I
life in
like
general.
that.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I'm more of a writer more than anything. Like that's where my true passion.
I'm learning
is.
something about you. I did not know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So storytelling in general.
yeah.
Just
Like I
being
feel like
able
that's
to-
more so but I feel like that's more so like a safety net
Yeah.
type thing because one, I've just always been good at it. Like
Yeah.
like always, I've always been good at English. Writing, like I've always been good at that. I think speaking is one of those gifts that I feel like God gave me to an extent, but it's also one of those things where it's like, you know, where God gives you certain gifts and it's like you're naturally good at it, and then it's like you
should I
gotta
use this for something? Like
you know,
what is
like
the-
or you, it's like either you're naturally good at it, or like either you kind of gotta like work at it a little bit. Like you gotta like work at this craft.
Right.
And I feel like speaking is one of those things for me where it's just like I need
Natural.
to. I don't feel like it's natural.
No.
No, I feel like it's one of those things where I need to practice it more. Because I'm not the most confident in it, but I feel like people are confident in me, in it. So it's like
Right.
So it's like
I
one of those
would've
things
thought
where
that
just
would be-
like
yeah.
I'll just do it, whatever. But, no. I mean, I know God wants me to use my voice.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to be proactive about using the gifts that He gave me and not like being afraid of them or being
Right.
intimidated by them. Because I feel like for me, this is one of those things where it's like I'm kind of intimidated by it because
Yeah.
it's like,
Public speaking is one, like, I think it's like the number one American fear is public speaking.
Yeah. I don't want y'all to see me.
It's a lot.
I
And
don't
it's
trust
easier
you.
to write it down when you can correct yourself versus what you say is once it's out in the
I could
world, it's out in
backspace.
the
I could
world.
backspace and delete.
Jay, do a little cross out. Here, it's real life. It's
It's
real
like,
life.
oh, I can't edit that. I already said it.
So my bad.
I bet I ain't mean it.
No, really. Cut it.
Thank you for asking that question, but honestly, I just to wrap that up, no, but it's just something that I'm learning to lean into. Like I feel like one of the biggest things this year that I've been telling myself is to like really
Yeah.
lean into my fears, like lean into the things that like aren't natural or the most quote unquote comfortable. Because I feel like sometimes, or I just feel like in this day and age, like I feel like we're so quick to say like, hey, if it doesn't feel good, scratch it. If it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And I feel like for me, it's like speaking doesn't necessarily always feel good in like that moment or like when I'm preparing to do it, but it's something that it's like, of course, I know that's the gift that I'm supposed to be using. You know what I mean? So I feel like just like I said, leaning into my fear, like honing in and like leaning into my fears is like kind of that's kind of like my theme right now
to do. And that's very similar because you actually brought it up when you were like, you know what would be nice if you just showed your face a little bit more, told your opinion a little bit more, like talked a little bit more on screen. And that is something that I think not as a fear, but just is not something that I'm super big on with. Yeah, so it's like
you don't do it
easy, like you just turn your camera talking.
That's so crazy.
Like when it comes to events, you just talking to people. It's not really like staged. But then
so big,
like stopping with the camera and like being in front of the camera is so easy to nitpick, so easy to like you just want to change so much versus when you just doing something that's one take. It's one take. Whatever it was is what it is. Like that's where we leave it.
You pretty much just skipped the baby steps. That's like
just went through the.
You said I don't care about making a story on Instagram. Come to my event. Get on my live.
Come see me. That's really because I do think it's harder to be authentic when it's just snapshots of things. Like even when I think about TikTok, that's a whole different battle that I've just been trying to figure out how to like. What do you post? What do you say?
You know my take.
Look.
You know what I go give
talk about just do it.
Just do it, or I just feel like what feels authentic to you. And I feel like when I was saying it to you, I was more so saying like in the mindset of like we know Pretty Standard is your brand, but it's like we also like when it comes to brands, people want to know the person behind the brand.
Right.
Like who are you as a person? Like I feel like that kind of helps the brand like come together. So for me, that's kind of like was my mindset. So I feel like as far as like content, it's like just whatever feels like true to you. Like people are doing Get Ready With Me. I have nothing against the girls that are doing Get Ready With Me.
I don't really
like for me that just doesn't do anything for my stuff. So you know what I mean? And it's like obviously it's like algorithm blah 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 blah.
I mean, what's trending, what's whatever.
Look, God gonna put me where I need to be.
No,
I'm gonna just keep showing up how I'm supposed to. I'm gonna keep being consistent. I'm not gonna act like I'm not gonna put out anything that's not realistic or just not the day and age that we live in. But I'm not going out of my way to do things that are not authentic to me. Like that doesn't represent me. That doesn't stand. I'm not doing that.
But how are you finding what is authentic to you? Like as we're talking through like imposter syndrome and showing up and trying to figure out how to show up, it's easier said than done. Like the Get Ready With Me's might work. It might just need like a little tweak to it. But or the talking to the camera might work, but I just might need to be in a different location. Like how are you figuring out what is showing up as Kennedy?
So I'm a big believer in throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what's gonna stick, or and just like trying a whole bunch of stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. Like I'm big on that, and then also too, just noticing what I am attracted to. You know what I mean? Like I like deep thinkers. Like I'm gonna like the stuff on TikTok. Honestly, that's just deep.
Some of the 3-minute just speaking.
Honestly, like that. I do like certain stuff like that, or like if the person seems like they're authentic. Like if you posting what God told you. 5 days out of the week is 7 days. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think God is talking to somebody and telling you these specific things every day. Dang. Like I mean, or okay, let me not say that. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
So you might be.
My bad, maybe, but I doubt it. I just feel like certain things just don't be feeling authentic. So I feel like for me, it's like, what am I gravitating towards? What do I see that I want to keep seeing? Or that what am I not seeing that I want to see? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like just people
and finding
being
the balance
authentic.
too. Because I think that there is, you have to go like you were saying with the algorithms, all that kind of stuff. You gotta have to do certain things.
Yeah, for sure.
You might have to do a Get Ready With Me because that's just what's gonna fit the algorithm, put you at the top. But then what you're known for? What is your content consistently?
Yeah.
I do think it should be more so what you can continue to do. Because
what can you keep up with? That like. I feel like what can you keep up with in the sense of like what is true to you? Like you don't mind recording this, you don't mind doing this because this is true. You know what I mean?
I don't want to keep doing something like that's. I think how burnout happens. I think that's
You don't
why
want to
consistency has been something that I've been able to upkeep, because pretty much I'm just doing what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it
in
on
front
a
of
platform
people.
versus like I'm a persona when I'm by myself versus I'm a persona when I'm on the screen. It's like pretty much all the same thing. Like I figure out my Tuesday questions the same way I was. I'm just sitting in the shower and I'm like, or standing in the shower. And I'm like,
I got
like, what's this problem about the world? Or like, I just went through this dating issue. Like, I want to know how other people feel about it.
Yeah.
I think you have to stay consistent on what do I like right now, and then just put it out and figure out what
keep
form to put
figuring
it out
as you go. I think a lot of times people are just like, of course, scared to start, or like, you know, people just have like this. I be saying people every time about me.
No, people be me.
People be me. I be people. But like for me, it's just like obviously like I know my end goal.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, girl, you gotta start somewhere. Like even
right.
with the podcast, it's like I know like I want better stuff. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's like, okay, like people are gonna see my growth. People are going to appreciate that I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I'm being open. I'm being vulnerable. I'm really creating a safe space. People don't care more about that than like the stuff that I care about. Exactly. They don't care about these lines. If y'all do comment, no.
Let me know what color you want to see.
What color you want to see? No, but it's like people don't care about certain things as much as like we do, and I think that just like putting yourself out there, putting yourself in positions, one, to grow and just to figure stuff out.
And
you
people
cannot
figure
stuff out
like
unless
you
you go.
Like, comment what you like. I think there is a level of, once you find your demographic, once you find the people that already just gravitate towards you, they'll be like, I would love to hear more about this about you. I would love to hear more about how you started. I'd love to hear more about it. And then the content, like, I got you. Look, let me tell you, yada, yada, yada. And then also it's letting you decide of like, okay, do I want to share this? Do I want to talk about this? Like, just keeping in mind, like, what content do people actually find
and like I
interesting?
don't mind being like vulnerable.
Yeah, same.
To an extent. It depends.
Talk about, if you know what you want to know.
It just depends. Like, I feel like for the most part, or like I'm big on this, like I'm not gonna be vulnerable if I'm not like past.
Yeah, if
I'm in it, I'm not gonna be vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that I'm still processing it. You know what I mean? Or like I'm just not gonna share certain things with the world if I'm in it, just for the simple fact that everybody don't like you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, like everybody don't like you. People be praying on your downfall. Or
if my feelings already hurt and you say something that's hurtful, I'm not doing good. Yeah. Like, versus I'm out of it, it's like whatever it's like, you say, I'm past.
Yeah, it's like you can't hurt me because it's like I've already went through that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, I respect that.
Because it's a difference, and like I think also too, trying to see like, is me telling this going to let you know anything more about me? Like, is it gonna really give you any additional information on me that's useful? Because when I had made a blog posting, because all of my content pretty much now is geared towards like relationship based questions. Mm-hmm. When I said I never had a boyfriend before, they like, gee, what? Like, what you know about dating? What you know about da da da? And I'm like, that is useful information. That like, at first I'm debating like, should I say I never dated nobody long term? Like, is that gonna make people feel like, well, why are you talking about it? But then I thought about it, like, I'm usually not the one talking about it. I'm asking, like, I'm asking the people. I'm getting the therapist on here. I'm getting because I don't know. So I think that there's a level of like, okay, what should I share? Because this is gonna help you know me. This is gonna help you know where I'm coming from. Or like, what can I hold? Because I know it's not gonna be useful. Like, it's not gonna be information that's gonna change the content.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. I don't know. I feel like for me, just right now, just like if it's on my heart to share it, whatever. Like,
if it's on my heart,
you know what I mean? And like most of the time when I'm posting stuff, like I'm talking to myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not posting these long quotes for y'all. No offense. I'm posting it for me.
And it resonated, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I just had to tell myself this. I just had to remind myself this. So that's where I'm going from. So I feel like kind of like back to what you said in the beginning, just like learning to like show up as myself fully in all spaces. Like, I want people to go on my page or like get on the podcast and be like, no, like, she's Kennedy through and through. I met her in person. Like, she acts the same way. Like, she doesn't dumb herself down. She doesn't dim her light. Like, no, she's a bright light every place that she goes. Like, I just and even aside from that, more so like for me right now, it's just like I want to have that confidence like in myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I want to internalize the things that people say about me for myself.
And really feel it. And really be like, and just really appreciating the love that you're getting. Like the genuine love. 'Cause that's hard to find. Like,
It is.
a lot of times when I meet people, they always speak about my friends. Like, that is something that they really do feel is value. Like, you have people that really love you around you. That's not to be taken lightly. Because people do struggle with that.
People do struggle with
that. Who
that.
are genuine, like, want you to succeed. And not like, succeed until you're doing better than me, then I don't like you. But like really wanting to see like
want you
long
to
term
push you into
way.
yeah.
That's very rare to find, very hard to find. So I always appreciate that. And that's what I was saying in the beginning. It was like I feel bad because it's like I'm blessed with so many things. I'm blessed with so many relationships that people don't have. That like for me to feel like, oh, I don't feel like I'm enough. It's like you have people around you all the time, literally telling you, you know?
Yeah, like I said, it's because I think you definitely do have a great support system. Even your grandma, you know, like your granny.
Oh, jeez.
I love that lady.
She's something else.
She is, but you know, I up or down. But even for me, like I feel like I was blessed with a very good support system, and like love my support system down, love my friends down. Like I feel like God knew.
Yeah.
You look, you gonna go through some things. I mean, you gonna need these people.
You gonna need them, and
so
each
like,
and every one. I figured out exactly why I needed them
for you. Yeah, for sure. So I feel like for me, like one, obviously, I'm very grateful for that. But just like I said, just really taking the time to internalize stuff, like the positive things, like internalizing that stuff, because it's like. People are gonna always say great things about people. I feel like it's easy for people to see the greatness in you as it is opposed to yourself sometimes. And I think just like learning how to take those things and like really like feel it in your heart as well. You know what I mean? I don't got the answers all the way.
No, for real. Because I was just listening to Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she was talking about like it's an inside job, and like it really does start internally, because then as people are giving you your accolades of like good job and all this stuff, if you internalize and you already feel that internally, it don't matter what everybody say, like that's just adding to like, oh, like you see what I see. And that's also too, I had to like that night when I was saying like I feel like God stopped me, I really do feel like it was a like
I love
you don't see me you don't see yourself how I see you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like you don't see yourself how I have created you, the passions that I put in you. You don't see all the work that's going into that, and it's like, why not?
I just prayed that too. I'm like, I literally just prayed that yesterday. I'm like, God, I want to see myself how you see me, because like I was talking to my therapist. She was like, I think you know exactly who you are. She's like, I think you know exactly who you are, and I'm like, yeah, for the most part,
and
I do.
just being confident saying it.
It's just being confident in like who I am. So I'm like, I literally prayed, because you know you gotta get specific in your prayers with God. You gotta get specific. Period. So I was like, so I'm like, God, like literally, like let me see myself how you see me. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, I mean pretty much. And then somebody the other day asked me like, why are you in therapy? I'm like, nigga,
talking about
why?
I need to be there with you. Look, because I do feel like there's reasons why. Like something's never just like a one-off. Like me not feeling confident and pretty standard is like multiple, like that transcends across, you know. So it is of getting to the root of like, why do you not feel confident when people ask you like,
it shows up in other places,
right? Like you start to dim your light, you get smaller in certain areas, and like at work, I'm conscious about it because I'm like, you got to show up this way because like people not gonna take you serious if not. Why not show up that same way in all rooms, in all spaces, you know? So it is.
Yeah.
And that's why when I was asking you about like, does money give value to you? I think for me, I was getting to the point where I'm like, my job, I'm able to like be confident and do all this stuff in it. Is it the dollar value behind it? Is it like, well, they're paying you to do this, so that's why you're able to show up in this room and do it because they're giving you how much you're worth. Versus pretty standard, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting any money behind it. So it's like, tell me how, look, when you see it, I see it. No. But it's like, is that what's making you not feel as confident? Like you're not really making that money behind it, not really doing anything behind it. So are you feeling like that's a hobby more so than a job, or more so than a long-term basis?
But I also think that it's very common for people to show up for other people better than they show up for themselves.
Hey, you just said it. You just said something.
I mean, realistically,
that's it. No.
We still can go to therapy, y'all. But I mean, just being honest. Because think about it. It's like somebody asks you, if somebody gives you a project, they ask money or not, you know, they give you a project, they ask you to do this, you're gonna want to show up for them the best way you can, as opposed to you got this passion project, but you don't put it off to the side.
You can only disappoint yourself in that. Because like me, I literally didn't have to post that 5-year thing. Nobody would knew I was sad. Versus like,
but
your
you
job,
had to.
They said, where your project at? Like, it's easy to people looking at you got accountability. Versus when it's just you, it's like I could be in my room sad about it and then
look,
keep
nobody
moving.
know. Nobody know I got this project. Nobody know I'm letting myself down.
Nobody knows the timeline. Nobody knows
besides you. Like, you gonna
besides you. And I do think that I just recently started working with a graphic designer, and I feel like that held me accountable. Of like, now it's not only in my head, but it's also in hers. So she's like, "What you said you were about to do? Da 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 da." Like, what's up with that? And then now I'm like, okay, you're keeping me on top of things that I might have just let slip through the cracks. Because I'm like, I got other stuff to focus on.
Because and then now too, you're looking at it as a business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, this is not
more
just
serious.
like a hobby. You know what I mean? And I feel like switching that to like, okay, I'm doing this as a hobby, as to this is a business. Like, I feel like you're gonna naturally get more serious. You know what I mean? You're gonna naturally start having to be more confident in what you're doing, regardless of what you feel like the results are or should be. It's like it's just I feel like it's gonna be like some type of switch, just because it's like, okay, I gotta double down. I gotta get serious, and like the more I move, the better I get. That's what I keep telling myself. The more I move, the better I'm
the better you get, and the more spaces that you'll just have to show up in, and it'll just test you. Like, as I'm looking at events, it's like, okay, now you're looking at partners. Now you have to pitch yourself. Like, why partner with you over partner with another brand? Yeah. Then you got to get confident, and like, this is why you should partner with me instead of whatever other brand you're thinking about. And that's when it's like, okay, I'm feeling more.
And it's like your
secure.
And like your story too. Like even like you said, you didn't have to post that 5 years. But I feel like there's so much power that people forget. There's so much power in vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, without vulnerability, none of us will be able to really connect the way that we're supposed to connect. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not being honest about your journey and telling people like, yeah, sometimes I know my life may look this type of way, but sometimes I still get a little bit sad. Sometimes I lose my confidence. Sometimes I lose track of the vision. And then another person is doing the same thing and like, well, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling
you can feel misplaced? You know what I'm not supposed to be here, but that's
like
not
exactly.
the case
but and like that's why it's so much power in being vulnerable.
Yeah,
because now you're giving people opportunity to want to see themselves and to see you in a different way. Right. And I just think people be forgetting.
They be forgetting, and it's like it's embarrassing because it is like you just had an event yesterday. What you talk about? You sad today? Like it just be.
But that's
you feel so like.
But I think that when it comes to like that specifically, I think that's just like. You looking at the results more than the movement.
Yeah.
And like I feel like I keep saying that, but it just like that's just something like for me that's just been like in my head, like you're making movements, like you're moving. You know what I mean? Like the results obviously like they matter to an extent. Sure, of course I'm not gonna act like they don't matter at all. But I think that when you place more value in the movements than the results, like okay, now we can navigate this a little bit better. Now I can see things like a little bit more clearly, or I could see things from a more grateful lens, or just understand that I acknowledge that I am like growing. Yeah, I am doing something, and just like I said, that positive talk, baby,
it needs to happen. And with yourself, like really just, and sometimes talking it out for real, like saying
yes, talk to yourself.
Like,
look,
sitting on it. Look, if y'all saw my laptop right now, I'm going there talking about, hey y'all.
Yeah,
I'm going through it, and it's just in college I did that a lot of like doing like little video recordings because it's important to even just be able to look back and be like, I was tweaking. All right,
it's like
a little dramatic.
It's like you have to let that out though. And then going back and seeing your growth, it's like okay. It's just like I feel like it's also good to see that I'm always gonna move past where I currently am.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I feel like it's good to like visually see that and recognize that.
Because even like a week after I posted that, I was in a completely different headspace. Like I felt so much more grateful. I felt so much more like once I watched the video back of the event and the night, I'm like, this is literally what I wanted to do. Like this is what I started Pretty Standard for. This is like my dream. Yeah. So once I saw it in that lens, I'm like, if I would have skipped my 5 years, I would have been mad. I would have been mad I didn't say nothing because I really do feel like this is what I wanted, and like the scale of it was never really defined. So it's like, how you mad or sad about something when you didn't even define the scale? Like, 2 people
We
in a
don't know
room
your standard,
like,
you know what I mean?
versus 10 people in a room. Like, what did you want? Like,
Yeah. And what did you lose? You didn't lose anything.
exactly.
So I just want to say that I'm very, very proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. I was really excited about this conversation.
I loved it. I thought I was gonna be crying, y'all. So I
Me
held
too.
it together.
Me too. We
I
held
held
it
it together.
Shout out to my therapist
crying.
yesterday.
Because
Because I cried yesterday already. Okay.
I can't cry
I did that yesterday.
I feel it.
It's whatever. But just thank you so much again for just sharing the couch with me.
I love this.
Yeah.
Look, the camera person was saying I was getting awkward. I hope I eased up as the time went.
They're gonna love you. So you guys, this is a wrap. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Therapy Fridays, the podcast. I don't be telling y'all this, but please like and subscribe to my YouTube, please. Thank you. I would really love and appreciate that. And until next time, and I hope you guys have a happy holidays. Love you. Oh, holidays. That's it.